Okay, this is going to be like a bonus track of the Gonzo ethnography, and it relates to another personal process which I endured for over a decade, which is separate from the Princeton process, but that nevertheless relates to the overall culture that also plagues the Princeton saga. I have decided to release this material after more than 10 years of holding it, because I believe that now I have joined the anti-woke crusade and the cultural wars deliberately, and I believe it is necessary now to come forward to fight political correctness and all its consequences. While this process does not take place in the academia, the actors are academics, and both processes, both the Princeton saga and this one stem in a way from the same cultural background, which includes the contempt for truth, the post-truth, the contempt for truth and evidence, and the stereotyping tactics within identity politics and political correctness. Let me now move to the material that I will use to do the presentation. I will operate through the same method that I operated in the Gonzo ethnography. They are both Gonzo processes in some ways, because they are personal, by releasing evidence which is secret or concealed, or it has been concealed until now, to expose the perpetration of immoral actions. This is, by the way, very much the tactic of WikiLeaks, which I believe to be one of the most important institutions in the 21st century, because it is a war on secret. It makes secret evidence available publicly at a time when, paradoxically, truth is in crisis, but there are increasing amounts of information recorded by digital sensors, cameras, databases, etc., etc. The Paradise Papers, which has already appeared in the Princeton saga, or the diplomatic cables, or the Swiss secrets, etc., are part of the same type of activities that I am engaging on now, which disclose evidence that has been silenced by different forms of power, be it economic, political, or military. It is a war on secrecy. It is astonishing that the founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, remains in prison instead of being celebrated, amongst other things, through the actions of two activists who apparently deliberately slept with him, but then accused him some days later of sexual abuse. I mean, I don't remember. I don't know the exact details, but it is incredible, the story by which one of the most important inventors of the 21st century, somebody who has actually created an institution that is international and that is absolutely necessary, is imprisoned to this day. So the materials that I will present here are, I have to say, are hard to witness. This is a kind of trigger warning for sensitive people. I think that the document here is rather unique, as it describes, registers an event that took place during the divorce process from my former wife and partner, Farshid Musavi, which I believe amounts to the fabrication of domestic violence. She's a rather decorated woman and actually an OBE. For those of you who are not familiar with the British honor systems, that means an Order of the British Empire for services to the United Kingdom. And here we see her with Prince Charles at the awards ceremony. The events that I will describe here took place in the former matrimonial home in London during the divorce process on April 20th, 2010. On that day, I was at home packing my bags for a trip to the United States when unexpectedly she entered the home and started a tirade of verbal abuse that lasted for about 10-15 minutes, I can remember, during which she started throwing my luggage and my clothes around. I remained silent through the whole episode, and the following recording is what happened when I decided, after suffering this abuse for a certain time, that I was going to start recording the actions.
And who's had a mother who's been anything but a woman, and therefore you are what? Yes, you have actually been deprived of love, and that's why you cannot give it to anyone or to your own daughter. Don't worry, I've been doing the same. Okay? You can't even talk to me. Now you want lawyers, right?
I only talk to my lawyers before.
Oh, fine. Fine. I hope that you take everything. What have you done with the phone? Let me see how many minutes you record. Where's your phone? Where's your phone? The bit that you hit me also is there? Where is your phone, I told you? Where is it? What about the bit that you hit me, fucking bastard? Huh? Where is it? Where is it?
Everything is recorded.
Well, maybe if I get your computer, you will give me your phone. Make sure that it's there. you don't want to leave me. You want to just make trouble and hit me. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Where is that fucking phone? Come on. Yes. Just tape everything. Tape everything. That means that you're hitting me too.
Yes. Don't worry. Everything is
Ethan! Fucking hell, don't hit me! Don't hit me, bastard!
Don't fake it, for God's sake.
Don't fake it! Just because you want to get evidence?
Of course, I'm getting evidence. I'm getting evidence of the way you behave.
Don't, bastard.
What
just
is the problem? We are talking through logic. Why are you hitting?
Why are you hitting me, you bastard? Why? Why are you scratching me?
I'm not scratching you at all.
Oh, talking about scratching me, you bastard. You are the most manipulative person on earth. Don't! Ah! My fingers! Don't you dare! Yes, call the police. Call the police. Call the police because I want to tell them. This is not my phone, okay? This is also my phone and I'm gonna phone them myself. Give it to me! I wanna phone them! Okay, phone them, you bastard! Let them come and see.
Excuse me, sir. Can you call the police? He's abusing me.
Why don't you call the police? Give it to me. I'll call it for you. Oh, you were the one who's abused me this morning.
Excuse me, do you know how to call the police? What is the
Yes,
number?
999.
999, thank you.
There's actually some community police people down there as well. Around.
Is what there?
There's some police just walking around the community.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can I have the phone?
Hi, is that the police? My spouse is abusing me, and I would like somebody to come home immediately. And my contact number is 976-5458. Zulu 8 Alpha Eco Alfa Romeo 8 Alpha. We are going through a divorce process, and she suddenly came into the house and started throwing my clothes around. Usually, yeah, she's here, and in fact, I think she's trying to pretend that I was abusing her.
Pretending. Oh, sure.
And so she is. No. Well, she's tried to grab me and things like that, but I grabbed me to get my phone. She's been throwing away my clothes. We both live Fashi, FAR, SHI. No. Yeah. No. That's correct. Thank you very much.
So after all this happened, suddenly the plumber, Gary, showed up unexpectedly. I presume my former wife had made an appointment with him to fix the boiler up. In the period when we were waiting for the police, which was probably about 10 minutes, she opened the door to him and took him to the boiler and then went into the bathroom. Then the police arrived, and after a brief talk to each of us, held in different rooms, I was surprised to hear that they were taking me to the police station. I could not understand why at that moment they were doing so, because my scratches were clear and I knew that I had not even touched my former wife. All I did was to try to escape from her nails and blows and bites. I was to find the answer to this later on. So this is the place where they took me, Belgravia police station, where they allowed me to make a phone call to my lawyer, and then took away my cell phone, my belt, my watch, and even my shoelaces, and put me into a small cell for around 2 hours in isolation. That was quite an impressive feeling. And then they interviewed me, took pictures of my wounds and my hands, and kept a copy of my recording, and released me without charges. During that time, apparently she had stayed at home with another police team, but I was the one who was taken to the station immediately, and I couldn't understand why. So after I left the police station, I went to a doctor to register the wounds that I had sustained. The police also had taken probably better photographs too, and had kept all the records of the events. So I assume that they took photographs of her wounds too. And you can see my forearms, scratches. What is more interesting about this is that you can see quite clearly the signs of fingernails on my arms, on different places of my arms. And this is important because the police had done the same. That's why basically I took also pictures which are dated and geolocated of my hands to show that I basically have had no nails. I don't wear long nails ever. It bothers me. And because the police had taken photographs of my hands, I also did that. But I am sure that the photographs that were taken of my wounds in the police station were much better than the ones I took in the surgery. So what is, I think, important to mention here, because I believe that many people would think that she had exploded because of how badly I was treating her or behaving towards her, etc., etc. So that was a kind of sudden loss of control. But actually, what happened next shows that the whole event was calculated and strategy to create false evidence for the court. Despite the fact that she knew that I had recorded the event on the phone. Back then there was no TikTok or anything. I didn't know how to make a video, and probably the videos that you could do at that time with cell phone were not like the ones you can do today. But nevertheless, I had the record and she knew it, and she went to the court to demand my eviction from the matrimonial home on the grounds of domestic violence, with the help of her lawyers, which were Payne Hicks Beach, the lawyers from Paul McCartney, for example. When I received the claim, I found this. I found that she had scratched herself in the toilet after the event and was accusing me of attacking her. This is the picture that I received as part of her claim to the court. And the court records show that the plumber, Gary, was interviewed after I left for the police station, and he declared that after opening the door, she went into the toilet, and then when she came out, she showed him her wounds just before the police arrived. So this is the only record that I have of her wounds, which I was supplied by her lawyers as part of her complaint to the court. And of course, she lost the claim, which was ruled by Judge Patricia Pearl on July 29th, 2010. For legal reasons, I cannot show the verdict, although I may have to do that. For example, if anybody doubts publicly that my record of these events is correct, even if apparently these verdicts are not not public. They're part of the secrecy, which I am against. So the verdict found that she presented to the court a misleading and untruthful account of being attacked on the 20th of April, and in the verdict also is written that the injuries to the wife were caused by her own nails on herself, and she caused the scratch marks visible on my arms, my neck. But the verdict contains many other interesting facts for the purpose of this publication, which is that the judge refers to a report that she received from the police, where she was told that the victim was visited and spoken to at home, and she said apparently that the suspect, me, did not hit her, although she was shouting this over the phone. Apparently, she could not give a reasonable excuse as to why she was screaming this to the police. That's police records. And she indicated on her arm where the suspect had allegedly scratched her. But these marks were consistent with long nails, and the suspect has short nails. That was the police assessment of the event, and they said also that the victim also kept aggravating the marks by scratching them herself to demonstrate his actions, which meant any original marks were lost. As I have said, the plumber Gary was also interviewed by the police, and the police says that he was invited into the house by the victim, and then she left him to tend the boiler, and went into the bathroom and came out and then showed him scratches on her arm from the alleged incident. And then the verdict also refers to another incident that was engineered by my former wife on January 9th, so 3 months earlier, when she called the police without any reason. And the police also gave account of that event and said that it would appear that the mother has been advised, possibly by legal representatives, to call the police to build her case. That's the assessment of the situation by the police. No violence was threatened or intimated by either party. The child was fit and well and doing her homework with her current nanny. No cause for police concern. So, I mean, this is obviously the construction of a casuistic of domestic attack, the same way that we in Princeton saw the construction of a casuistic of misogyny and harassment on the part of Monica Ponce de Leon. But it is astonishing that the Belgravia police was aware at the time that in this type of situations, women tend to be advised by legal representatives to build their case by resorting to create incidents of domestic violence. This is her pose as a battered wife with her wounds showing on her left arm. And you can see behind the mess that she had made earlier on in the day. So this process is external to academia, although it involves also a member of academia who is a professor at Harvard, and is also a Royal Academician in the United Kingdom and the recipient of the Jane Drew Prize for Women in Architecture. So we are not talking here about people without culture. We are talking here about people who are highly educated and who are educators themselves and role models for those protected groups, which are sometimes appearing in the law. And of course, she is someone who is going around talking about gender equality for women over the Me Too mobilizations here as part of what was called a mob, a flash mob in the Venice Biennale. I think that it is very important that we look at these people, or maybe not at these people, because I don't know what the other people depicted here are doing, but certainly my former wife felt entitled to behave as she did by the fact that she was a woman. She was part of a protected group, let's say. And so, I mean, in respect to the previous process, this whole episode is obviously connected to that idea that I already visited in the ethnography of the morale of the victim, or the morale of the slaves, as Nietzsche puts it. Which we have seen mastered by some people in the Princeton episode, although the episode here is obviously much more serious, but in some ways this 51% female ownership or the ethnically exclusive hiring protocols, or the false and unsubstantiated and surreptitious accusations of harassment and misogyny are part of this contemporary cultural paradigm, which Pascal Bruckner states. Pascal Bruckner was already cited in the ethnography to illustrate the behavior of President Gruber. He states that this whole scene of political correctness is grounded on Western cultural traits derived from the Christian notion of sin, which is a mechanism of social control, which makes the individuals responsible for compliance with social norms. And he talks in his Tyranny of Guilt that this is a trait he believes is connected to some sort of Western masochism, where people are made to feel guilty for actions that sometimes they have not even committed, but were committed by their ancestors or their kind. It's the tears of the white man, as he puts it in another book about the same subject. What the whole episode that we are living through of political correctness is doing is actually to allow certain individuals, which belong to what in American legal terms is known as protected groups, to seek retribution on behalf of their ancestors, whether the current situation is reproducing the sins or not. People of the non-protected groups are punished through some sort of collective guilt towards the victims of their ancestors, actually not of themselves, and feel entitled to forsake their own guilt and their own duties to social norms, for example, truth. The case in point illustrates this abundantly, as many of the cases I think that I visited in the Gonzo ethnography. So the ability to fake evidence without remorse is exponentially expanded by the tolerance towards lies, which the post-truth world has put us. That is how someone like Trump has been allowed to become president of the United States, how Brexit has delivered, and we are now horrified to watch the lies from Putin to legitimize his invasion of Ukraine. These are people who have profited from the collective trust on their guilt to frame their actions as examples and role models. But what we have seen here, and I think we saw it also in the Princeton saga, is that some of these individuals are compulsive liars, ready to use the collective guilt or the inaction of society for their own profit. Bruckner's argument reminds me of the seminal work from Ruth Benedict in her wonderful book, The Chrysanthemum and the Sword, written in 1946. This was a book that I first came across when I was living in Japan, because I was interested in understanding the difference between Western and Eastern cultures back then. And so Benedict distinguishes between what she calls the cultures of shame, which are also known because this triggers a whole line of anthropological research. They are also called cultures of honor. For example, the Japanese culture is exemplary of this type of culture, where the sanctions for breaching social norms, for example, telling the truth, are external to the individual. And on the other side, there are the cultures of guilt, which are more typical of Western societies, where compliance with social norms are transferred to the individual conscious to comply with the rules. Is this idea of Christian idea of sin. In the cultures of shame or cultures of honor, subjects are punished through shame for breaching the rules. Censorship is executed through the collective, not through the individual conscience itself, like it happens in the Western, mostly Western cultures of guilt. So in the cultures of guilt that also Bruckner talks about, and that derived from the Christian scene, it is the sanctions are internal. It is the individual himself who feels remorse for having transgressed the norm. And so this Western system is obviously more individualistic, and because the behavior is not controlled by the collective, but by the individual itself. Is up to the individual to control his own behavior, and it does not require for the misconduct to be public knowledge. The individual tries to conform by himself or herself to the prevailing norms so as not to feel remorse. So the Western guilt culture, the sinner is guilty regardless of whether society knows it or not. The guilt mechanism is obviously more effective in a large-scale society where surveillance is less direct and subjects enjoy anonymity, and it is a mechanism that is obviously more compatible with individual freedoms and rights, since it doesn't require the sanction of the group. But political correctness in the West has taken advantage of this subjective feeling of guilt and have collectivized it. Its propaganda mechanisms incite us to feel guilty, even for acts that we have not committed and were perpetrated by our kind, even centuries ago. This is how political correctness assigns us moral burdens that do not really belong to us. So obeying political correctness becomes a path to absolution for a guilt that these ideologies have artificially introduced for their political advantage. This is why a white male like me should not be challenging the actions of the damsels in distress in Princeton. And I think many people may think that I should not be doing this to my former wife, no matter how dishonest her actions were, because she's a woman. But I am now well beyond feeling any guilt for exposing this type of people and this type of action who exploit the collective guilt of the politically correct, but feel no guilt of their own. We saw this, we just saw this in a much more serious case than what we saw in the Princeton saga, but Monica Ponce de Leon's use of her 51% of female ownership, or her systematic lies and manipulation of the rules, or Elizabeth Diller's coercion of former students and lies to the investigation committee are part of the same cultures. Individuals that belong to protected groups, in this case, women, damsels in distress who do not feel any guilt, but rather entitlement because of that. It is the moral of the victim that profits from the collective guilt of the politically correct. This is where I believe it is now crucial to stand up to these people who lie systematically and are even prepared to self-harm, however modestly, in order to profit from this collective guilt. So the reasons for making these processes under evidence public is, like in the WikiLeaks case, to shame the perpetrators, which are often concealed by privacy laws and codes of silence while profiting from the collective guilt of the woke. My intention is to shame those who have been part of these actions and who benefit unduly from collective guilt and secrecy, and benefit from the entitlements of the morale of the victim seeking to profit from it. It is worth thinking about these facts in respect to legislation, laws that discriminate. For example, laws that discriminate between individuals from different groups, from different identities, like the protected and non-protected groups in the American law, or for example, in Spain, there was a recent controversy about the law of gender-based violence, or the racist application of affirmative action policy, which we saw in Princeton, but is fairly common, I think, across American universities, are the ones that enable processes like this to take place. And yet, most of it is true that most of the domestic violence is perpetrated by males on females, but the law cannot be based by identities and statistics, because otherwise maybe the law in the US should be biased against blacks simply because the rates of delinquency are higher in the black population. To penalize the whole population or to promote the whole protected group by law is a terrible mistake, which I am sure in the near future will be dismantled. Maybe the standards of proof in the courts should be higher for women because they are more prone to liars, as we have seen, and as the statistics show. So any discriminatory law based on gender, ethnic, or cultural background are always extremely problematic. Societies cannot legislate on statistics. Individuals of protected groups cannot be allowed to profit unduly from the biases constructed on collective guilt. As a relatively frequent victim of these biases, I'm now committed to expose the evidence behind them, and both the Princeton process and this is part of it. There are more. I have a few more stories about lies and legal processes in the cupboard, which have to do with the application of the law, which I will publish perhaps in due course once I receive the reaction to this one. I'm sure there would be some reaction that, as I said, may require the further release of evidence to the public. And that's the end of this episode. Thank you.